Hey everyone, this is Nathan from the Lyrics.That.Matter podcast. I just wanted to say that due to the copyright issues, we won't be able to play the songs in the podcast. So, if you guys want to listen along, there will be intermission periods that will show the song and the album. So, if you want to listen along, please pause the video and listen to the song on Spotify or YouTube. Thanks for listening and enjoy the podcast. Fear. What happens on Earth stays on Earth. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, dear listeners. This is me, Nathan, from the Lyrics That Matter podcast, the podcast that is specifically created for the CAS creativity aspect of the IBDP program. Here with me, I have my co host. What's your name?
Moreno again.
And we were supposed to have a third friend joining us today, but he's outside, so we're going to be reviewing Damn, just the two of us again.
He outside. He outside. Just
So, Reno, well, I already said the name of the album, haven't I? So can you just give us a small retelling? As you all know, Moreno Ricci is the Kendrick Lamar Glazer. He is all all in out. He knows Kendrick the most. What do you know about Damn, Moreno?
Damn is Kendrick's most commercially successful album,
Uh huh.
and of course, which is all of his hits are on that album. And yeah, mostly this song takes me back because this also like technically the first ever song that I listened to, and since I was a kid, I ever saw what's that song called again? Humble music video. So
All right. Uh, Let me just give a bit of context. Now, originally, me and Moreno were going to listen to this song in the reverse order because there are multiple ways that you can actually listen to this album. The name of the album, Damn. People suspected that it was actually supposed to be Damnation, and he was going to release another album called Nation. But in fact, this album is two albums combined into one. There are four ways that we can listen to this, and we're going to listen through the first one, which is chronologically. The second one, you can listen to it in reverse. The third one, I'm pretty sure we can only listen to the bad ones. And the fourth one, we can listen to the good ones. Because there's this duality in this album. Can you explain more about that, Marno?
um so to make it more fun, maybe I'll not like explain it that much, but
Mm-hmm.
uh so basically this is gonna tell a story about Kendrick's life now as a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is way different from last time's episode, which is Good Kid Mad City, where he
Uh-huh.
talks about his life in Compton, but now he is talking about his fame as a rapper. So I'm not gonna give any details yet. So
Of course.
I'm just gonna tell it later on in the end because you need the full context of the whole album in order to understand.
So, the songs that we're going to be listening today are Blood, DNA, Pride, Humble, Lust, Love, Fear, God, and I'm pretty sure me and Myrna's personal favorite, Duckworth.
Duckworth the goat.
Alright, you ready, Myrna?
Yep.
Alright, let's pop into the first song. Well, dear listeners, that was our first, well, not technically first, but kind of first listen to the song Blood. And it's like this 1 minute and 58 seconds. Now, me and Reno have obviously listened to this album. It's Kendrick's most commercially successful album in his discography. Um, but it's almost like I'm listening to the album for the first time because I haven't listened to the album that long. And if I'm not wrong, my first impression of Blood was that I rated it pretty low. But this song has many themes. It's a melancholy tone. It's haunting. It feels philosophical. Myrna, what did you think of the song?
In my opinion, if I would rate this song,
Hmm.
I would consider it as a skit. Like the whole concept itself in this album, like it's all started because of blood, and it just introduced this system where Kendrick like explains this album not just being it just to make it like commercially successful. So yeah, that's how this is gonna say.
There's intent behind the
This
song,
intent, yep.
of course. So, uh, I don't really get, I don't really understand the real meaning behind this song. Myrna, can you explain it to me? Or
Okay,
yeah, explain to the listeners.
so you just gotta keep in mind in the song that the Kendrick asks, is it wickedness or is it weakness? We
Hmm.
can see weakness as in like in the context of the song, like helping that old woman, and wickedness showing the ignorance of like example the woman or grandmother shooting Kendrick.
Hmm.
And the story goes on like Kendrick seeing a blind grandmother who was trying to find something lost. Then Kendrick tried to help, but eventually got shot by the grandma, which ended the song.
Oh. So if you did listen to it in the reverse order, then the album would just end there with Kendrick being shot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, um, this is what I feel like is happening. This is my interpretation. So the line that you're referring to is you walk in and you see a blind woman, you offer help, and then she shoots you. Well, this blind woman, I can see it as some sort of authorial choice. She may symbolize justice, and blind women, a blind woman, it may relate as justice is often depicted as blindfolded.
Oh,
And
you'll be surprised by the answer. You'll be surprised by the true answer.
oh, because we don't actually know who the blind woman is, but is it revealed at the end of the album?
Oh yeah, of course it's gonna be revealed.
Of course, Kendrick's act of goodwill is met with violence, and this just shows the chaotic nature of the world and whether being good truly protects you. And this song, it definitely raises some uh, moral questions, and it also shows this some sort of global significance. And I believe it's the global danger of being too good, because from what I'm hearing from the story being told in Blood, the story's moral is that doing good might get you killed. And in societies such as Compton, where Kendrick first grew out at, the systems are just unjust. And Kendrick shows that innocence isn't a shield, and it corrupts structures. And naive virtue is often punished first. What do you think,
Wait,
Rona?
yeah, just to keep in mind, uh, we can like just to relapse back to Good Kid, Mad City.
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick is telling a story in his life in Compton, but in
Compton.
Damn, he's basically telling his life as a rapper who
Mm-hmm.
lives in that culture now, the whole rap culture in general, and
Oh.
also the deed that he Kendrick tried to do to the grandma shows weakness, and that's what maybe listeners could keep in mind.
Oh. That's why he said wicked or weakness.
Yeah, this is gonna be really important to the story.
Okay, okay. I'm so glad that I have someone like you who's listened to Kendrick's whole discography with me here, Moreno.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna go on and listen to the second song, which directly transitions from the first song, which is DNA. Well, that was a nice listen. You know, that was an extremely strong transition from blood to DNA. well, Blood was this sort of poetic and haunting beat. This thing's upbeat. It feels explosive, you know? Like the start is already explosive as it already like it feels like it just cut in from Blood. And you know, this song it's so aggressive and it, it just serves as this eruption of energy and maybe this is a stretch, right? But to me, it might just be a reclamation of black identity after its distortion in social media. But that's just what I think, and I'm gonna develop it later. Marno, what do you think of the what do you think of DNA?
This is really crazy. It's like so like again explosive, yeah, and like it's just personally like Kendrick sending shots basically, and like create. And of course, the one I really love and notice is his beat switch at the end. That was amazing. That sample and everything, that was crazy. I love it.
All right, so let's start with some analysis. Critical lens on Marno. What do you think? What do you think this song means?
In my opinion, due to like in the start of Blood saying wickedness or weakness,
Uh huh.
this shows Kendrick's wickedness as a rapper now and
Mm-hmm.
his fame. He's basically flexing his fame. He said like lots of ignorant things such as killing, murder, and money, violence, and also like talking about him winning Grammys, him being like one of the most best rappers right now in this generation, and it's just him trying to say to everyone in the rap industry that he's the best and no one can be better than him.
So that's your interpretation from this song.
Yep.
Now, to be honest, I see this as a really, I see a common theme of duality, and this is also seen in Mad City, which was his first album, where in the song "The Art of Peer Pressure," the concept of duality is also used, and if you form blood and DNA, you can see the correlation in the title itself, blood and DNA, and you can see the connection because there's a duality, and this shows wickedness or weakness. Now, the meaning of DNA itself, while blood is like, blood is the outside of the DNA. If you take biology, I'm pretty sure that's true. I'm a biology student myself, but I don't really, you know, I've already forgotten about the connection between those two. But DNA
You
acts
damn
as
biology students.
but DNA is basically your genetic code. This is your identity. Kendrick is saying this is your identity. It's in your DNA. I got royalty inside my DNA. And Kendrick uses this DNA as a metaphor for this inherited black excellence, and as well as its resilience and perseverance. And he connects it to personal strength and this collective ancestral experience. And the duality of identity, this concept, I got power, poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA. And Kendrick, he doesn't demonize, he doesn't romanticize his identity. He acknowledges he acknowledges its contradictions, its challenges. Power and pain, poison and joy, loyalty and war, like the songs in this album where duality is a constant. And it serves as well as a critique of media and stereotypes because a sample from Fox News, Geraldo Rivera, where he says, "This is why I say hip hop has done more damage to young African Americans than racism in recent years." And Kendrick weaponizes that voice, the voice of his critics, and he samples it. And then he destroys it through rebuting it through this amazing song, this explosive repulsivity, this rebellion of a song. And this song shows so much global significance where he talks about reclaiming this identity, this critiqued and marginalized identity. It also critiques white media control of how the oppressed black underprivileged are being controlled and their identities and how the outside world perceives them, their how the white media controls them. And I think that's his message that he's trying to tell through these two songs. What do you think, Reno?
Like I said, yeah, it can show black significant like culture towards
Mm-hmm.
basically like the impact of rap and the African people,
Uh-huh.
African American people, with
Uh-huh.
also like having Kendrick being like the voice for these people and expressing it through this specific song.
Mm-hmm.
And also to add on from what I said last time about wickedness and weakness, just a quick story. When I was finding vinyl records around Jakarta, I found the Damn vinyl record and I was
Of
checking
course.
it out.
Uh-huh.
What I noticed is in the back of the Damn vinyl, there's a picture of Kendrick
Mm-hmm.
in black and white, like side by side, and Kendrick being in the middle. Maybe this can show the weakness and wickedness that start in blood.
So you're connecting. You're seeing the interplay between the images in Damn as well as the lyrics said in his songs.
Yep. So
Well,
maybe it can be correlated. So
all right, that's amazing insight from you, Murado. Now we're going to move on to, if I'm not wrong, the top two songs of this album. Actually, no. Love Feet Sakari is one of them, and DNA is also another one. But this one is a top. This is a top record holder for me, and it is Pride. Let's listen. Wow. Well, that was Pride by Kendrick Lamar. Uh, First impressions? Well, not really first impressions. I listened to the song uh, every night on 2024, and I'm pretty sure it hit the top five of my most played songs in 2024 through Spotify Rap. As you can see, this song, well, the reason why it was topped in my Spotify Rap was because I actually slept to it, and I think you can kind of relate to me on this one. You can already feel that melancholy, somber, and mellow beat. It wasn't really exciting, like DNA. It's somber, almost like Blood, which is the same wicked weakness duality. And this song also precedes Humble, which is the direct contradiction to the song Pride. Prideful and being being prideful and humility. So, Reno, first impressions. What do you think of the song?
personally, one of the better like songs in them, and it's very like melancholy also. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like very reflective and like how Kendrick is more vulnerable to the song after having that whole ego and DNA. and
Uh-huh.
and there's also a fun fact that
Mm-hmm.
the person who also helped Kendrick in making this song is and producing it is the singer and songwriter Steve Lacy.
Oh, the one that sang the what's
Bad
that song name?
Habits.
Oh yeah,
Bad
Bad
Habits.
Habits. Yeah.
He helped Kendrick in the production of the song and the background vocals when you heard it in the song when you sing when there's like singing.
So, Myrno, what is the meaning behind this song? Can you tell me, or tell the dear listeners too?
Yeah. Personally, the song of course is already emphasized through the title, which
Mm-hmm.
is Pride, and this song is like Kendrick trying to tell that his pride will get to him someday,
Mm-hmm.
and like he can't find that perfect world of like acquiring an like a heaven, and
Uh huh.
being able to avoid this like ignorance and his own pride. So that's basically like the song itself, man. Yeah.
Well, I think uh, I I I I support the way that you see the song, and this is just what I think. I think, well, first, this is clearly a song about Kendrick's inner conflict. I mean, one of the lines, I think one of the most famous lines from the song is "I can't fake humble just because you're insecure." And through this, he explores this tension between pride and humility. And then there's also this acknowledgement of hypocrisy, of holding both pride and humility. Like the past song, he's aware of these contradictions. Preaching morality but being flawed, wanting peace but he's rapping aggressively, criticizing society while he's enjoying fame. And through this song, there's also this isolation and emotional distance. This is reinforced by lines like "Love's gonna get you killed, but pride's gonna be the death of you and me and you and you and you and me."
Yeah.
And pride is portrayed as this barrier to empathy, relationships, and the lyrics imply that to love is to be vulnerable, but to be prideful is to self-destruct. And I believe that's really beautiful. Well, he shares this song, and there's this significant global issue where there's this universality, this global issue of moral struggle, and this exploration of pride isn't just personal; it's human. And around the world, people struggle with being egotistical and having empathy, having faith, but also dealing with greed, the idea of being an idealist, and as well as your self-interest. And this concept of duality, it just keeps popping up. And this is what makes Kendrick such a strong writer, because he always brings up this concept. There's this concept of duality, it's always there and it's always prominent. So what do you think of that, Moreno?
Personally, I fully agree with your statement. It
Mm-hmm.
does uh, represent
Mm-hmm.
the thing that you said,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, I have no more word to use. Explain completely, like accurately.
Oh,
So
yeah, I should leave. I'll leave most of the analysis to you, because the next song that we're going to listen to is the top song in Kendrick's discography, and the one that we've definitely listened to a bunch of times, "Humble." That right there was Kendrick Lamar's "Humble," and probably the best song on the album, but people also treat it as the most overrated song in the album. Now, "Humble," like the other song "DNA," was explosive, it was eruptious, it directly critiques, it directly says what Kendrick wants to say. So tell me right now, what do you think? What's your first impression of "Humble"?
honestly, I think everybody knows this is one
Mm-hmm.
of Kendrick's most famous songs, like his
Uh-huh.
top one probably. Like
Uh-huh.
even myself when I was a kid, the first song that I found from Kendrick is "Humble." So
Uh-huh.
I think it was this significance of
Mm-hmm.
this song in his catalog, and yeah, it's overall just a really good song. But I play too much, so maybe get bored.
So let's how about we take turns analyzing some of the lines. So
Sure.
Moreno, what do you think of the line "Sit down, be humble"? What do you think Kendrick wants to say with that line?
Uh, throughout like my understanding of it, um, Kendrick is trying to emphasize two things. First is himself being humble after what he
Mm-hmm.
said about pride and like everything in DNA about him being the best
Mm-hmm.
rapper, but living like again like in good capacity, living life of like
Uh-huh.
sin.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is like a more competitive like perspective of Kendrick in the actual rap scene, because he's as Damn being like a commercial album also,
Mm-hmm.
he sends shots to other rappers saying like to be humble because he's the best, so you guys have to like be humble from because I'm the yeah, you get the point.
Yeah, you know what? The next line that I was about to talk about, it directly matches with what you're saying, and it's the line, "I'm so sick and tired of the show. I'm so sick and tired of the Photoshop. Show me something natural." And I'll take it from here. of course, it's direct, it's brash. Kendrick directly attacks this artificial beauty standard, but well, surface surface level, it critiques artificial beauty standards, especially for women in media and entertainment. He's clearly frustrated with these fabricated images, but he's also saying he's also saying that uh, he's directly critiquing other rappers. Maybe if they don this sort of persona where they're sort of commanding, they feel like they're the best, and Kendrick, who is egotistical himself, in fact, he's full of pride. He's commanding them to sit down and be humble. And you can see this irony, right, Reno? Because
Yep.
he's bragging, he's bragging while commanding others to be humble.
He
And
wants to be humble himself, but yet he wants to also make other people humble. So
so finally, the one line that I really don't understand. Do you understand the line, my left stroke just went viral, right stroke put little baby in a spiral?
uh okay, that part I don't know. But I'm just trying to change topic real quick. But
Of course. Okay, go for it.
I think the irony that we just talked about,
Uh huh.
the one I said is also like bragging about other rappers. This will
Mm-hmm.
show later on in the reverse version
Oh.
of the song. So it's like two different meanings because there's two different ways of playing the album. So maybe it's like this one right now that we're going
Chronological.
in the chronological order. He's actually trying to be humble to himself, but maybe in the reverse one is him asking people to be humble from him being the best.
Oh, I
Maybe
see.
it's like that.
So, dear listeners, if you want to listen to the other perspective, then make sure to listen from Duckworth and then reverse it back to Blood. So, here's some global significance that I can find. Of course, the direct critique of celebrity hypocrisy. And around the world, these different celebrities, rappers, musicians, artists, they present curated versions of themselves, where they're humble on the outside, but in reality, they're actually obsessed with status. And Kendrick sat Kendrick demonizes, he satirizes this duality. Again, the concept of duality, showing how ego and humility are often just a part of branding. And that's also another piece of irony because this album is commercial too. Isn't that right, Breno?
Yes.
So that's humble. That's what we think of humble. That's what we think humble means. And now we're gonna listen to the next songs, the next duality, this next contradiction. The number five song that we're gonna listen to is "Lust." James 4:4 says, "Friend of the world is enemy of the Lord." That is one of the lines from the song that we just listened to, "Lust" by Kendrick Lamar. So this is the first time I've listened to this, and to be honest, I really don't like this song because you can already tell this. If you listen to the song, it feels hypnotic and it feels dreary, and it just feels tempting. There's these themes of temptation and desire, but I think the function of the song of the album is that it sits thematically between love and pride. It shows the destructive force of lust as more than a sexual desire actually, and he explores the meaning of lust outside of like what it's represented what it's represented as lust is mainly depicted with like sex and stuff like that, but lust can also be interpreted as the craving for control, comfort, numbness, and most importantly, pleasure. What do you think, Moreno? What do you think of the song? First impressions.
Person Personally, I think it's very like interesting
Mm-hmm.
because personally, out of like all the songs in them, this is one of my like second or third favorite like instrumental. I think it's my second favorite instrumental
Uh huh.
of this whole album because I don't know why, but this song just reminds me of one of his concert scenes where he rapped over the song from one of uh his albums one of his songs in Damn, which is XXX, and he rapped over the
Mhm.
Lust beat, the Lust
Oh,
instrumental,
okay.
and it's absolutely beautiful. So I think that's just stuck in my head. And like personally, it's just it can be also interpreted as like
Hmm.
uh, a desire, not in just human like human pleasure, but
Uh huh.
also fame, like fame of him being a rapper. He
Oh,
wants more. He wants more fame as he goes on,
that's some
and
really powerful insight.
yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Uh, Now we're gonna go on to the critical analysis, and well, I'll just take the wheel here. I think, well, according to the lyrics, there's one lyric that really stood out to me, and it's waking up in the morning, thinking about money, kick your feet up. And with this, he wakes up in the morning and he's already having this feeling of lust. He doesn't show lust as this driving force. He shows it as a routine. And it's not this spike of excitement. It's not this infatuation. It's about chasing pleasure and avoiding any change to that routine. The verses in the song describe this repetitive lifestyle, such as sleeping late, getting high, watching TV, and doing nothing meaningful. It's ironic because he critiques how lust, stuff such as sexual, material, or emotional, it becomes a trap of just being passive. And this the song acts as a contrast to love. Lust is like sonically and thematically the inverse and the direct contradiction to love, where love is genuine connection and vulnerability, while lust is seen as the superficial escape. And by doing this, he contrasts two powerful forces that drive human behavior, both in a personal level and a global level. So, Moreno, what do you think? What message do you think Hendrik is trying to say here from the song Lust?
Um, Personally, it's of course like the obvious, the loss of a human pleasure, and like there's this one line I can't say, I
Of
can't
course.
say in this
Yeah,
podcast
yeah,
because it's
yeah.
very yeah. Wait, can I say it though? Is it fine?
Just try to censor the bad words. Just try to censor it. Just not.
There is no bad words.
Seriously?
Okay,
Oh,
I won't further explain this line. I'll just let the listeners just interpret it themselves.
uh huh.
Kendrick said, "As blood rush my favorite vein." Okay,
Oh,
you guys can handle that. I don't.
oh,
I can say
okay. Yeah, and
anymore.
that's also the part of lust. As blood rush my as blood rush my favorite vein. Uh,
I was stuttering by just saying that. Oh my day.
uh, well, yeah. Clearly, it's a social critique of hedonism in modern culture. Hedonism being materialism, consumerism, over sexualization, digital addiction, stuff like that, where human desire just ultimately takes over passion and like this vulnerability. He just throws it all away. It just gets thrown all away. It's more of this psychological commentary on desire, and it shows how this unchecked desire leads to emptiness and dissatisfaction.
Oh yeah. In addition, um, Kendrick's one of the lines also said, "I need some water," which can correlate with his previous album that we
Uh huh.
analyzed, which is Good Kid, Mad City, with the song "Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst."
Uh huh.
He needs some water, so right now he's thirst for like temptation again, like in Mad City. So it's back at that cycle of getting tempted to
Oh my
this time lust.
god.
So
Oh wait, so it's like he escaped from the mad city, but he's
he still
re-entering it.
feels the lust.
He
Yeah.
still feels it. Oh, yo, okay, all right. Well, I think we'll get more further insight to what Kendrick is trying to explain through the next song, the direct contradiction of lust, which is love. Take it away, Spotify. after listening to the song, I can already tell that the song is the direct contrast. I mean, you can play the two instrumentals you could play the two instrumentals and listen to each other individually, and you could tell that this one hypnotic, this one dreamy, comfortable, vulnerable, gentle, intimate, and well, the obvious function of the song in the album is to counterbalance lust. Well, it's supposed to counterbalance, but well, yeah, it does counterbalance. Where lust explores this disconnection, and then love seeks genuine and emotional connection. So, what do you think, Renault? First impression of this song. What do you think?
Very like comforting. Like it's this reminds me of like those like I used to sleep with the song also. Like when you sleep with like
Pride.
Fry, I sleep with love. It's just really beautiful. Like the instrumental and the highlight in my opinion of this song is
Hmm.
Zakari's singing. It's just amazing.
Okay, so let's see this rhyme together. Um, this is one line that I really thought was interesting. If I didn't ride blade on curb, would you still love me? And this question he's asking, it's almost like he's yearning for it. He wants he's doing something this this bad, but he's still asking for love. And this type of love isn't like lust where you're focused on a specific thing. No, unconditional love means that you love them. And he questions whether love in his life is conditional or if it's genuine. And he's concerned if his partner would actually love him if he lost his fame, his money, his power. And this just highlights the deep insecurity of him of in himself. That's love to him. And this reflects this universal fear where am I loved for who I am or what I have? It's strong. What do you think, Bruno?
Yeah, just in my research also apparently blade on blade on curb means like an expensive rim in a car, which is like so it's like
Oh.
a luxurious car. So like he's asking like to the girl like if I didn't have a like expensive car, would you still like love me? And
Oh.
this can really show like Kendrick's growth as a person from having like lustful thoughts and lust to desiring for actual genuine love.
Well then, well, it's clear the global influence, the global significance, and the message that Kendrick is trying to show here. And well, Bruno, what do you think he's trying to express in the song?
Of course, like an overall like in the world full of like materialism and like
Hedonism.
the hedonism and desires,
Hmm.
the true love is like the most ideal thing to have,
Ah,
which is like committed and like powerful. So
commitment, genuine vulnerability, gentleness, and I think it also has this implicit purpose where he wants to redefine masculinity. Now, when you're being vulnerable, you're seen as weak, but Kendrick breaks this traditional hip hop barrier of masculinity, and by being emotionally vulnerable, he wants to challenge the toxic gender norm across the hip hop culture, and this can be seen globally because especially in cultures where men are discouraged from expressing emotion or affection openly. So, next up, we're going to listen to the song Fear. And
I can't
then,
believe I can't believe we skipped XXX, bro. One of the best songs.
well, our main focus, well, my main focus of what I want to achieve in this album is that I want to explore the duality, and after looking at XXX, I really didn't see a connection, but fear and God, it's definitely prominent. So, ready?
Yep.
Let's listen. other song by Kendrick and his album titled Damn, that was Fear. And I'm going to be honest, I've listened to this song before, and after listening to it again, I can probably say that this was one of my. Well, I wasn't really into this song, you know. I wasn't really in favor of this song. But, what do you think of the song, Reno? What do you think?
Personally, because I listened to his teaser song for this album, the hard part four. I mean, it basically uses the same instrumental of that so called
Mm-hmm.
teaser, and there is lots to unpack. So maybe we can skip to the
The
announcement.
analysis already? Okay.
Yeah.
So, first off, from my input, it's clear that the main objective of this, the main theme is, of course, fear. And when we're talking about fear, we're thinking of afraid or something like that. But from my interpretation, there's a lot of things that you can see with fear. And one of the things that he talks about in this album, I mean, in the song, is the evolution of fear. And in lines with, like, I'll probably die anonymous, I'll probably die with promises. And then he explains how this evolution of fear mutates with age. So, age 7, he fears physical punishment from a strict mother who's focused on survival. Age 17, the fear of violence and death in the streets of Compton. And then him now, age 27, the fear of losing everything, like money, fame, and his spiritual grounding, his spiritual levels, his relationship with God. And that directly ties into the next song, which is God as well. So, what do you think, Reno? What's your analysis on this song?
Okay, so you actually helped me out there a little bit by giving the age and
Uh
like
huh.
the evolution of Fear of Kendrick. So this is very important in the song because there's three stages of fear that Kendrick had. Which first is his 7-year-old self,
Uh huh.
is who is fear who fears his mother from doing like herself being strict to Kendrick himself, and like how he every mistake that he makes he'll have like a cost to it. And of course Kendrick in Compton, he has to survive with everything he can. So that's like one reason, and how he has experienced gang violence in like such a young age. And the second stage is when he was 17 years old, and at that time he was making, according to critics alike and Anthony Fantano, uh, Anthony Fantano uh, made one of his most best albums to Pimp a Butterfly, and that's when he had that fear of success, where he's gonna be afraid that the next album he's gonna make, it's gonna be even worse than To Pimp a Butterfly, and like how later on in the future his songs will be more bad, and like
uh,
he'll have like this downfall.
Fun fact: Anthony Fantano was the inspiration behind this podcast, and we have well, in the list we have 4 Kendrick albums. We've only done 2 of them. This is the second episode, and the second album, I mean the third and fourth album was Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, as well as T-Pab. But we're probably gonna leave T-Pab to the finale of this podcast, which.
Honestly, Nathan,
Huh?
even though T-Pap is like the best album, my
Mhm.
personal favorite of all Kendrick albums is Mr. Morale. It's absolutely
I
amazing.
can see that, and it's a shame because we're probably gonna take 2 episodes to do Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers because of how large of an album it is.
Yeah, and also I will say just for like notes, all of Kendrick's albums always have this like art medium,
Mm.
which in Good Kid, Mad City is a movie, and right now in Damn is a magazine because of the
Oh,
titles of the songs with like full caps and a question, no, and a full stop. And
oh,
to continue my claim now we have the Kendrick in the present era of Damn, which of course he somehow correlates to all of his songs and fearing of losing, example losing pride with through loyalty, and same thing goes for lust and love and everything. So yeah, and that, and also in the last couple of seconds, there was also skit by Kendrick's cousin who told him that the the true Israelites in Christianity are the black, Hispanic, and Native American, or the Indians, and
Oh.
they have been like they're like the main people who has been experiencing this, and God is just so they can get closer to God.
You know,
And yeah,
that's an important element that I just realized we forgot to discuss, and it's the it's Kendrick's use of biblical imagery inside of all of his songs, because there's very prominent biblical imagery and biblical references even in his other album, which is Good Kid, Mad City, where um, spiritual healing through God, the Lord's Prayer, and even comparing now in this song, comparing the black people to the Israelites. It's just a constant reminder that spiritual healing is what brought um, Kendrick to this epiphany where he realizes that this lifestyle isn't healthy. And, well, yeah, I guess that ties in with the message that Kendrick is trying to bring with this album and this song itself. But let's dive deeper into that message through the next song, which is, of course, when there's fear, you'll always have to turn to God. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was God. And
aha.
just like all the songs in this album, it just makes us go, God damn, God damn, God damn. So, uh, what I've gone for this song, well, I guess it feels, well, it contrasts, of course, it contrasts the, the duality, the contradicting part, which is fear, with God. And this feels triumphant, you know? It has this theme of faith versus ego, and success and identity, and of course, it's another critique of materialism. What do you think, Ronald? What do you think of the album? No, not the album,
Personally,
the song.
personally, we I realized that we missed something. Wait, through this listen, I realized we missed something in fear.
Uh huh.
There's one main fear that Kendrick is afraid in this whole album itself.
Uh huh.
The fear of being damned to hell. That's why it's called damn, I think.
Damn to hell. Okay. Explain more, please.
Because you can see in the soundtrack, Fear and God. He knows that he has done something wrong. And of course, in Christianity, if you've committed sin a lot, of course you're going to hell. And we can see that, and that's why in the song he basically said, "Don't judge me for every action that he had committed and is considered to be a sin."
Oh, that makes sense. So let's go on straight to the analysis. Um, like, well, like Fear, I wasn't really a fan of this song, but I think uh, Kendrick uses God in two different ways. The first way is that he uses, well, God as spiritual God, the omnipotent divine power that he prays to. In fact, the whole Christian religion prays to. But then he also said something in the song that made me think that, wait, he also thinks of this. He said, "This what God feel like," and he thinks, he also discusses this godlike feeling, and he talks about the emotional high of material success, power, and fame as well. And then this duality creates a tension between this humble faith and the prideful ego, which directly connects to humble and pride. He both praises God, but he also reflects on how his own success has made him feel godlike, and he also comments of how dangerous it feels. This what God feel like, laughing to the bank like, aha. Anything else would you like to add, Myrna?
Yes. And also, I feel like this song gave Kendrick like at the fear. I forgot to mention this, but I actually went to YouTube and find the reverse version of Fear,
Uh-huh.
and that section right there, Kendrick says, why God, do I have to suffer?" And this like whole song contradicts that because Kendrick realized that God what gave him, which he is considered to be an Israelite, is more into not having a coincidence and giving a lesson to himself. So everything will be like uh correlated together, and
Mm.
it's not like how he is just a bad person, but how
Uh-huh.
God has built him to be the man he is right now. And this can be really related to the next song, which
Of
is
course.
Duckworth.
I think another point that I'd like to bring up is how he addresses faith, prosperity, and then he also addresses the hypocrisy of that. This song as a whole, I think it critiques the prosperity of the gospel. And the gospel is a belief that's often found in churches that wealth, divine blessing. And he just flips this concept around because he questions whether success is really from God or if it's from ego and sin. And I think this feels like a narrative, but this discussion about faith and hypocrisy, it ties to the overall feeling of, damn, the narrative that humans are flawed even when blessed. Don't judge me. My mama caught me with a strap. Don't judge me. I was young. These lines, they show his confession and showing that even in his rise, he's aware of his brokenness. And when you realize this, you just go, damn, I didn't know that. And this, of course, acts as another social commentary on prosperity, and he critiques how global culture of consumerism, where power and wealth are worshipped, and he just talks about the global idolization of celebrities, where fame is seen as divine, and then he challenges that idea that success equals to moral superiority. That is a dangerous myth in both Western and non-Western societies.
Wait, can
Reno.
also
Oh, yeah, yeah. What
wait,
are you
hold
gonna
on.
say?
Can this also relate to people like considering Kendrick as like a person who is like perfect because he's like a famous rapper? So like he's
Oh,
basically admitting himself that he's not perfect, and he's like the same thing as everyone.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a strong way. This song is like a confession because he's directly addressing to God, and he's confessing not only to God but also to his audience that this worshipped Kendrick, he's just another human, and he's not perfect because all humans are flawed. Damn, that's the only thing that we can say about this album.
Damn.
Damn, and we've reached the end of the album with the final song, which is probably me and Moreno's favorite, Duckworth. Just remember what happens on Earth stays on Earth. We gon' put it in reverse. That is the opening line to Kendrick's Duckworth, the best song of the damn album, in my opinion. What do you think, Moreno? Is it your favorite song?
If I would put like a 10 out of 10 in every like in one of those songs in the album, I would put it to Duckworth. One of the most best and amazing songs in
You
the
know what?
album.
I'll, I'll, I'll double down. If I could give a 10 out of 10 to any song on Duckworth, well, if I could give a 10 out of 10 to any song on Damn, I'd give an 11 out of 10 to Duckworth.
It's truly amazing.
This song is amazing, and it's just Kendrick's storytelling and the way he uses different words, different beats, especially the beat switch at the beginning. You think it would be melancholy because the first songs in the album, like Blood and then Lust and then Pride, they all use this melancholy feeling. They use this melancholy feeling to depict the weakness, the wickedness, and then it just jumps up with an eruption of confidence and excitement. And Duckworth is that excitement. And that opening line, we gonna put it in reverse. It's just Kendrick's message that this album has an entirely different story when you put it in reverse. Where we're listening to it chronologically, we're seeing this story of healing, but if you put it in reverse, you listen to this story of corruption. It's beautifully done by Kendrick. Now, what do you think of the song, Reno? First impressions.
In my opinion. So one of the producer who made this beat,
Uh huh.
Ninth Wonder, is one of the most like legendary producers right now, and I can see it now why, because of this Duckworth song, and it's like truly beautiful, and I could say that I can't wait for the analyzing part.
Mm-hmm. Let's jump into it right now, then. So, some background. The story of Duckworth is telling a true story of Kendrick's life, but it's not actually about Kendrick's life. It's about a character named Ducky and a character named Top Dog. Now, Ducky is actually Kendrick's father, who once nearly got killed by a man named Anthony Tiffith, whose alias is Top Dog. And Top Dog would later become the head of the label that made Kendrick famous, which is TDE, which is reinforced by the line, because if Anthony killed Ducky, Top Dog could be serving life, while I grew up without a father and die in a gunfight. And this is Kendrick's message on chance. How one moment of mercy completely altered Kendrick's destiny. How he was supposed to grow up and die in this gunfight. And it just alters Kendrick's whole life. What do you think, Reno?
In my opinion, can I give like okay, so we have known that Anthony is Top Dog,
Mm,
and he went to this KFC store
mm,
where he met Ducky, who is Kendrick's father, Kenny,
mm,
and was trying to, and Top Dog was trying to attempt to rob the place,
mm,
but because of the kindness of Kenny, he gave two free chicken with an extra biscuit, and this led to Top Dog being merciful to Kenny and let him live, and did not decide to even rob the store.
mm.
And then it also supports my statement what I said in the previous song, which is God saying that he now believes that everything is correlated and connected, which
Oh.
can be shown through how he is basically lucky to actually have that incident to happen to him, and like his record uh, founder, which is the record founder, Top Dog, met with Kenny, and now his son is is a superstar in rap, and and this is, in my opinion, more like a blessing for Kendrick, because
Mm.
if Top Dog actually shot Kenny, you will see what happens, which is the reverse order of this album.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense. So this is the outcome. Um,
Yes,
Kendrick's story of how Duckworth Duckworth is the healing. Duckworth is the healing, and that's where all the good songs came in with like uh, I think it's DNA, and then it's humble, and then it's love. That shows the healing, but we can see another dark side where uh, lust, blood, and what's the other song? The one that oh yeah, pride, and this element is prominent. So another part that I want to talk about is how the cycle of violence is broken by this one moral choice. The fact that Ducky chose to give one extra biscuit acts as a potential break of the cycle of violence. It shows how this single moral choice can interrupt generational trauma, and this aligns with one of Kendrick's recurring message throughout the album, which is we are shaped by our environment, but not bound by it. This narrative power this narrative power related with identity, Kendrick ends the album "Damn" by tying the personal to the philosophical. If that one moment had gone differently, the Kendrick we knew wouldn't exist. He used his own fate. He used this to frame his own origin as a miracle, and his music isn't just born from talent, but through survival and mercy. And this shows "Damn" as this reflection of faith and choice and destiny. And this is the climax, or maybe the conclusion, because this is the final act of his storytelling. Now, at the start of the podcast, when we listened to Blood, there was the woman, the old lady who I suspected represented justice, who shot Kendrick. And there's also a shot that we can hear at the end of Duckworth. Kendrick was shot, and then the song was put into reverse, and then that marks the start of the reverse listening of the album. Mano, can you please tell us who this old lady represents?
First, let me tell you this: the whole journey, everything until Duckworth, proves weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how Top Dog shows weakness towards Kenny by not shooting him,
Uh huh.
which can lead to him being a mercy. But at Blood, the grandmother who shot Kendrick is God,
What?
is God,
It's God.
because the woman can be represented, because God stated in the Bible that God can be anywhere, God can be everything.
Mm-hmm.
It can be any. It can be the person beside you. It can be the person just next to you or talking. He can be everywhere, and is now represented as this grandmother who's blind. Because of Kendrick's rap life, he tried to uh, give at least some kind of weakness to the grandma, but this like wickedness self at the start was shot. It's like God's warning to Kendrick to provide, like, be more to be more weakened and to be more open
Oh,
to follow God, to fear God. And that's what led Kendrick to realize about Duckworth, and he is worth as a person, and God created that miracle that he became the person right now.
so when you're listening to it in a chronological order, we listen to Kendrick's weak side, his vulnerable side, because his father is still alive. We were
Yes.
just we haven't been told of the story of Kendrick's father, but we know that Kendrick is undergoing this mental health journey and how he's healing. But if we listen to it in reverse, where we can hear and we can see how the different outcome of how Ducky, Kendrick's father, got shot, this whole cycle, this whole journey, his healing becomes distortion. His feelings of love turn into lust. His feeling of humbleness, humility turns into pride. And then at the end, we listen to God in the form of an old lady shooting Kendrick, and that just ends the album right there.
Kendrick's demise after his life of sin when his father is gone. In the reverse order.
Well, there's only one thing that we can say to the climactic end of this album. Damn.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff that we can take as children right now who are around the same age as Kendrick, who was undergoing this mental journey. Throughout Damn, he wrestles with these dualities, and these oppositions reflect an ongoing internal and external struggle. Are we in control of our lives, or are we shaped by the forces beyond us? And in Duckworth, he answers everything that was questioned from the rest of the album, and he shows that both were true. Top Dog's choice not to kill Ducky was a moment of free will, but the fact that Kendrick's whole life was determined by that event, that point, it shows the overwhelming power of fate and chance. Duckworth is the moment where the themes of the entire album merge together and then they explode in clarity. Without Duckworth, Damn would be a brilliant, but it would be a fragmented album. Sure, it would explore the themes of identity, sin, and conflict, but it wouldn't be complete. But with Duckworth, Damn becomes a narrative loop. This story of how fate, violence, grace, destruction, chaos, humility, pride, love, lust collided to create the person we know as Kendrick Lamar, and how that miracle gave him the platform to create and critique the systems that almost destroyed him. Well, not create, to critique the systems that almost destroyed him. This is the personal story that explains the philosophical weight of everything before it. My final question: what do you think, Breno?
I personally think that without Duckworth, the ending song, if it's like God, it'll be too vague. And like people won't see like Kendrick's development as a rapper and how again it can create a loop. And it's of course able to be reversed because God is giving warnings, yet God is also a loving God, but yet he also gives justice. So if Kendrick did live the life in in sin of the reverse order, he'll be demised and damned to hell. That's
Wow.
why Kendrick in Blood said, "Do we live or do we die?" Sorry, and that's why us audience can decide his fate by either playing it in the the reverse order or the original canonical order.
Decide his fate like a god.
Hmm.
Wow. That's the only thing that we can say to this album's end is damn.
Yeah,
That marks the end of today's podcast. Thank you, dear listeners. This
thank you.
podcast serves as a medium, and we just want to spread the message that these lyrics do matter. Thank you all for listening. See you all later. This is another post-credit scene. Uh, we are we forgot to rate Damn. We already finished recording a few minutes ago, and we realized that we forgot to rate it. So now we're going to rate the album. So Marno, what do you rate Damn?
This is gonna be a really big hot take.
Uh-huh.
I would consider them to be a 9
Okay.
because of what I've seen, like this new realization through this podcast, like the actual real narrative, like it's more relatable, and like how us people will have that struggle. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also really good. It's like commercially good. So, yeah.
Uh, for the narrative side, I'd give Damn. Well, on the narrative side, I'd give it a 10 out of 10, of course. I feel like the messages that Kendrick brings out in this album really correlates with the status of today's world, of course. But as personal enjoyment, I only enjoyed a few songs. Duckworth was actually an extremely good song. Humble, DNA, but those other songs where it had that melancholy feeling, I wasn't really feeling it because I'm an upbeat, exciting type of listener. So I would give this album a 7 for personal enjoyment. And I think that rounds out to about an 8 or an 8.5. And there you have it. That's our rating of Down. Thank you, everyone.